The galaxy was large and full of stars, and the Galactic Council believed they had seen it all. They had traveled through thousands of systems, met many races, and thought there were no more great surprises waiting for them. The edge of the galaxy was quiet, cold, and dark, and most believed nothing lived there. Yet an exploration fleet was sent anyway, a simple mission to map forgotten stars. The fleet was led by Ambassador Cillian, a proud and experienced member of the Council. With him were ships filled with explorers, scientists, and guards. They expected only empty planets and dead suns. Instead, they found something very different. At the farthest rim, orbiting a blue and green planet, there was a fleet of ships that did not match any Council record. The ships were smaller than the great cruisers of the Council, but their lines were sharp and strong. They moved with precision and confidence, not like a forgotten colony, but like a people ready to defend themselves. The Council ships stopped, careful not to provoke. They sent a signal, and the unknown fleet answered quickly. On the screen of the Council flagship appeared the image of a man. His face was calm, his eyes steady. He wore a uniform of dark blue with a simple emblem over his chest. He did not bow or show fear. Instead, he spoke in clear words. His name was Captain Daniel Brooks, and he welcomed them to the frontier of Earth. Ambassador Cillian was surprised. Earth? The name meant nothing to the Council archives. How could such a world exist beyond their knowledge? Still, he answered politely, introducing himself and explaining the peaceful mission of the Council. Daniel Brooks listened, nodding slowly. Then he said, "You have come far, but you must understand this is human space. We are not unknown by choice. We have watched the stars, and we know of you even if you did not know of us." These words unsettled Cillian. How could a hidden people know of the Council when the Council knew nothing of them? He asked how long humanity had lived here. Daniel smiled slightly and answered, "As long as we remember, as long as we could endure." The two fleets stayed in orbit, both careful, both curious. The Council ships were larger, brighter, and more advanced in appearance, but there was something about the human fleet that made the Council guards uneasy. Their ships had scars, marks of battle, yet they still flew with pride. They carried themselves not as explorers or merchants, but as survivors. Cillian requested to meet in person. After a pause, Daniel Brooks agreed. A landing was arranged, and the Council shuttle touched down on the human station orbiting above Earth. It was not grand like Council halls, but it was sturdy and alive with movement. Men and women walked with purpose, their uniforms plain yet disciplined. No one bowed, no one stared in fear at the alien visitors. Instead, they greeted them with firm voices and steady eyes. It was strange, Cillian thought. These humans were not in awe of the galaxy. They acted as though they already belonged to it. Commander Lisa Carter joined Daniel to welcome the visitors. She was tall, with sharp eyes and a voice that carried strength. She explained that humanity had faced many struggles to reach the stars. And though their technology was young compared to the Council, their will was unbroken. She guided the Council members through the station, showing them areas where crews trained, repaired ships, and shared meals. The air was filled with a quiet energy, not of celebration, but of steady determination. The Council scientists whispered among themselves. They saw no signs of weakness, no fear of being discovered. Instead, they saw a people who had grown in silence, preparing for a day when they would be known. The humans did not ask for recognition, nor did they seek approval. They were simply there, as though they had always been waiting. That night, Daniel Brooks invited the Council envoys to look at Earth from the station's great window. The planet turned slowly, oceans glittering in the sunlight, clouds drifting across green continents. "This is our home," Daniel said quietly. "It is where we suffered, where we fought, where we rebuilt. Every star we reach, we carry Earth with us." Cillian listened, his heart heavy with questions. Why had this people stayed hidden? What had they endured to become so calm before the unknown? He thought of the Council's proud fleets, of the many empires that had risen and fallen. None had ever hidden their strength like this. Humanity was a mystery, and mysteries made the Council uneasy. As the meeting ended, Cillian realized something troubling. The humans did not show fear, nor did they show pride. They showed something deeper, something harder to break. They showed endurance. He did not yet understand it, but he felt it. These people at the edge of the galaxy were not like the others the Council had met. They were something different, something dangerous perhaps, or something that could change everything. When the Council fleet prepared to leave orbit, the humans did not chase them or demand promises. They only said, "We will be here, as we have always been." Their words echoed in Celian's mind as his ship turned away. The stars seemed colder, the galaxy wider, and the truth heavier. At the edge of the galaxy, the Council had not only discovered a new species, they had discovered humanity, and with it something they could not yet name. The Council fleet had returned to orbit around Earth, unsure of what to do next. Ambassador Celian and his advisors argued for hours. Some believed they should leave at once and report back to the Council chambers, but others insisted they should learn more about these strange people. Humanity had appeared calm and open, but there was something beneath their eyes that the Council could not explain. At last, Celian decided they would remain. They would listen and they would try to understand. Daniel Brooks and Commander Lisa Carter welcomed them again. This time, instead of showing their ships and stations, the humans offered something different. They invited the Council envoys to sit in a hall where a large screen stretched across the wall. Rows of human officers and citizens also gathered there. Celian noticed how they sat side by side, men and women, young and old, without division. When the room was silent, Lisa Carter stepped forward. "We have been asked who we are," she said in a steady voice. "It is not enough to show our ships or our weapons. To know us, you must know our past." The screen lit up with images. At first, Celian thought they were only records of history, but as he watched, he realized these were more than that. The humans were showing their pain, their struggles, their survival. The first images were of ancient wars fought with simple weapons, soldiers in armor, men and women standing in the mud holding shields and swords. Then the pictures changed to great battles with cannons, smoke, and fire. Cities burned and people ran through the streets in terror. Celian felt his chest tighten. Why would a people show this to strangers? Lisa Carter continued to speak as the images changed. She told them of wars that spread across nations, of hunger that struck entire lands, of plagues that darkened the world. The humans fought each other, yes, but they also rebuilt. Again and again the screen showed ruins, and then it showed the ruins rebuilt into new cities. Where millions had died, millions more were born, carrying on as though the weight of loss could not break them. One of the Council scientists whispered in shock, "How can they survive this? Why would they endure when so much is lost?" Daniel Brooks heard the whisper and answered without turning, "Because we remember, because we carry each other." The screen showed scenes from more recent times. Machines of steel and fire flew in the sky. Bombs fell, shaking the ground, and mushroom clouds rose into the heavens. Celian had never seen such destruction. Entire cities vanished in flames. He expected the humans to speak with shame or to hide this, but they did not. Lisa Carter said quietly, "This is what we have done to ourselves. This is our scar, and it is why we stand watch." Celian felt sorrow but also confusion. Most races the Council had known collapsed when facing such tragedy. Empires crumbled, species disappeared, yet these humans did not vanish. The images kept going. The scars remained, but life continued. Children laughed in rebuilt towns. Farmers tilled fields where bombs had once fallen. Musicians played songs in ruined cities, and people danced. The Council envoys were silent. None of them could look away. They had studied many races, but none had chosen to show their worst moments as a lesson. Humanity was not hiding its wounds. It was showing them proudly as proof of survival. When the presentation ended, the hall was quiet. Celian rose and asked the question burning in his mind. Why? Why do you endure so much pain? Why do you not fall into despair? Daniel Brooks stood and faced him. His voice was low, almost gentle. Because to give up would mean the end of all those who came before us. Every name, every face, every sacrifice would be lost. We endure because we must carry their memory forward. We endure because hope does not die even in the darkest night. The Council envoys felt something stir within them. It was not pride or fear. It was something heavier. Something that pressed against their hearts. For a long moment, no one spoke. Later, the humans invited the envoys to walk through a museum built into the station. The walls held relics of Earth's past. Old flags, weapons, books, paintings, and even simple toys that had survived centuries. A young human officer explained that each item carried a story, and each story was a reminder that their people had lived through fire and storm, yet still stood. Celian touched one of the glass cases, staring at a torn piece of cloth carried through a great battle long ago. He realized the cloth meant more than fabric. It was memory given form. As the group moved on, Lisa Carter turned to Celian. We know what the Council values: order, stability, the balance of power. But we did not hide from you out of fear. We waited until we were strong enough to be known for what we are, not what you might make us." Celian looked at her with unease. "And what are you?" Her reply was simple. "We are survivors. That is our gift. That is our curse. We endure." That night Celian could not sleep. He thought of the faces on the screen, the endless stream of sorrow and hope. His people had long avoided hardship, spreading across the stars with ease, building their greatness on stability. Humanity was different. They had grown in chaos, rising from ruins again and again. They had not been given peace. They had carved their strength out of fire. It frightened him, but it also moved him. When dawn came on Earth, Celian stood at the window of his quarters. The planet below glowed with light as cities awoke. He realized that humanity was not just another species to be measured and judged. They were a story written in blood and tears, a song of survival that could not be silenced. And for the first time in many years, Ambassador Celian felt tears in his own eyes. The Council envoys stayed longer than they had planned. They told themselves they were gathering more knowledge, but deep in their hearts they knew something else was happening. Humanity was not simply another species to study. Humanity was something that challenged what they believed about strength, survival, and meaning. Each day they spent with the humans revealed more of this hidden truth. On the third day, Daniel Brooks and Lisa Carter invited the envoys to a special archive. It was not a library filled with numbers or records. It was a place of memory. The humans called it the Hall of Voices. The room was dim, with walls that seemed to glow faintly. Small devices were placed along the walls, each holding a recording. Celian asked what they were. Daniel replied, "These are the voices of our past. We keep them so no one is ever forgotten." Lisa touched one of the devices and a voice filled the room. It was the voice of a young soldier, weary but steady. He spoke of cold nights in the field, of hunger, of fear, and of holding the hand of a friend who did not live to see the morning. His words were plain, not heroic, but filled with truth. When the recording ended, silence lingered. Then Lisa touched another. This time it was a woman, her voice cracked with tears, speaking of rebuilding her home after war had taken it. She spoke of planting seeds in soil still black from fire. She spoke of hope for her children. The Council envoys shifted uneasily. They had museums and records of their own history, but nothing like this. They remembered victories, golden ages, and proud achievements. Humanity remembered its wounds. Humanity kept its scars alive, not to glorify them, but to remind themselves of what they had endured. Celian whispered, "Why would you preserve such pain?" Daniel Brooks looked at him, his eyes calm but heavy. "Because to forget would be to lose the meaning of survival. Every voice here is part of who we are. They are gone, but they still live through us. We carry them forward." The envoys listened to many more voices that day. They heard leaders begging for peace, workers singing in ruined factories, children laughing in the background of broken cities. Some voices were full of anger, others full of sorrow, and some full of quiet strength. By the end, several of the envoys had tears in their eyes. They had never felt such weight from history before. After leaving the Hall of Voices, the humans showed them more. They visited a garden on the station, filled with plants from Earth. Lisa explained that each plant had been chosen carefully, not only for food or beauty, but for memory. A single oak tree stood at the center of the garden. Celian asked why it had been brought here. Daniel answered softly, "Because it once stood on a field where many died. It is a living witness. We brought it so we could remember them." The Council scientists stared in silence. To them, plants were resources, nothing more. To see one treated as a voice of the past unsettled them. Later that day, the envoys were taken aboard one of Earth's fleet ships. It was not the largest ship they had, but it carried something that spoke louder than size. The walls of its corridors bore marks and scratches, not polished away. A human officer explained, "These are scars from battles. We keep them to remind us. Every mark is a memory." Celian touched the cold metal and felt the grooves beneath his hand. He wondered how many lives had been lost to leave such marks. The humans did not erase them. They lived beside them, carrying them as reminders. That evening, Daniel and Lisa gathered the envoys in a smaller room, quiet and dim. They shared food, simple bread and soup. It surprised Celian. The Council often displayed wealth and splendor when meeting others. The humans shared what they ate every day, "We do not hide who we are," Lisa said. "We give you what we give ourselves." After the meal, Daniel spoke again. "You asked why we have stayed hidden. The answer is simple. We needed time. Time to heal from what we had done to ourselves. Time to learn what it meant to reach beyond our world. Time to grow strong enough that when we were found, we would not be broken by others' judgments." Celian studied his face and saw no pride, no arrogance, only truth. Humanity had not hidden out of fear. They had hidden out of patience. One of the younger envoys asked carefully, "Do you hate the galaxy? Do you fear it?" Daniel shook his head. "We do not hate. We have known too much hate already. We do not fear. We have lived with fear too long to let it rule us. We only wait, and when the time comes, we step forward." The words sank deep into the envoys' hearts. They realized that humanity's strength was not found in their weapons or their ships. It was in their memory, in their refusal to forget, in their will to endure no matter how heavy the burden. The next day, the council envoys returned to their own flagship. They sat together, but none spoke for a long time. Each of them carried new images in their minds: the voices of the dead, the tree in the garden, the scars in the metal of human ships. At last, Celian said quietly, "We thought we came to the edge of the galaxy to find emptiness. Instead, we found the weight of memory. They are not like us. They are something else." One of his aides asked, "Should we fear them?" Celian shook his head slowly. "Fear is too small a word. We should respect them. We should learn from them. For in their survival, there is a truth we have forgotten." As the human fleet passed in their windows, Celian thought of the council chambers far away. He wondered how he could explain to them what he had seen. Words would not be enough. Only the weight of tears could speak for what humanity had revealed. The council envoys had seen the Hall of Voices, the garden with the oak tree and the scars on the human ships. They had listened to stories that carried both sorrow and strength, yet questions still burned in their minds. Humanity was not only a mystery, but a challenge to everything the council believed. They had built their great empire on order, stability, and the careful balance of power. Humanity, however, had grown from fire and ruin, and still they stood unbroken. On the fourth day, Ambassador Celian asked to meet Daniel Brooks in private. Lisa Carter joined them, her presence calm and watchful. The three sat in a quiet room aboard the human station, with the wide window showing Earth below. The planet turned slowly, its oceans and continents glowing in the sunlight. Celian looked at it for a long time before speaking. "Why have you stayed hidden from us?" he asked at last. "The council spans countless stars. We have known many races, some weaker, some stronger. None of them have chosen to remain in silence as you have. Why did you not announce yourselves?" Daniel Brooks leaned back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. "We did not hide because of fear. We hid because of choice. We wanted to see the galaxy clearly before the galaxy saw us. We needed to know if the stars were ready for us and if we were ready for them." Celian frowned. "And what have you decided? Are we ready?" Daniel did not answer at once. He turned his gaze toward Earth as if searching for the right words. Finally, he said, "That is not for me to decide. The truth is simple. We do not measure readiness by fleets or riches. We measure it by endurance, by the will to rise again when all seems lost." Lisa Carter added, her voice steady. "We do not seek tribute or conquest. We do not need empires. We only ask that you see us for what we are, scarred, imperfect but unbroken." Celian felt uneasy. He had expected pride, perhaps even demands. Instead, the humans offered something harder to grasp. They wanted to be seen, not as rulers or victims, but as survivors. It was not power they sought, but recognition of their strength. He leaned forward. "Do you wish to join the council? To take a seat among us?" Daniel's eyes flickered with something Celian could not name. "Perhaps one day, but not yet. The council does not understand us. To sit among you without being understood would mean nothing. We will not beg for place or power. We will wait as we always have." The silence that followed was heavy. Celian realized that this patience was more unsettling than threats would have been. The council had dealt with ambitious empires that demanded tribute, but this calm refusal was different. Humanity was content to wait as long as it took, and patience could be more dangerous than any weapon. Later, the envoys were shown another part of the human archive. This time it was art. Paintings, music, and poems from across their history filled the hall. Salian expected celebrations of victory or glory, but instead he found images of sorrow, of love, of longing. A song played softly, the voice of a woman singing of loss and hope. Salian did not understand all the words, but the emotion struck him deeply. The council recorded art as entertainment, a way to pass time. Humanity carried it as truth, as memory. One of the younger envoys asked a human guide, "Why do you keep so much of this sadness? Why not only keep what is joyful?" The guide, a young man with quiet eyes, answered, "Because joy means little without sorrow. Because hope means nothing unless it is tested. Our art is not only about who we are, but who we have been, and who we wish to become." Salian listened and felt the weight of those words. He thought of his own people, how they avoided darkness and only recorded their bright ages. Perhaps they had forgotten something important. That evening, Daniel Brooks stood with Salian on the viewing deck. Earth glowed below and the stars stretched endlessly beyond. Salian asked softly, "Do you think the council will ever understand you?" Daniel smiled faintly. "In time, but understanding comes with pain. The galaxy has been too comfortable. Comfort makes people forget what truly matters. You cannot see the stars clearly if you have never walked through the night." Salian said nothing. He knew the meaning of those words. The council had not suffered as humanity had. They had not carried such scars. Perhaps that was why the humans seemed so heavy with truth. The next morning, Lisa Carter gathered the envoys again. She spoke to them plainly. "You may ask what we want from the galaxy. The answer is simple. Nothing. We will trade, we will speak, we will walk among you when the time is right. But we will not bow and we will not beg. If the galaxy accepts us, we will stand beside it. If not, we will endure as we always have." The envoys looked at one another. They had no answer. Humanity was not asking for alliance or protection. Humanity was declaring that it needed nothing beyond its own strength. That alone made them more powerful than any empire the council had known. When the council fleet prepared to leave orbit once more, Salian stood before Daniel and Lisa. "I do not yet know what your people mean to the galaxy," he admitted. "But I know this, you have already changed me. And that means you will change others too." Daniel placed a hand over his heart and nodded. "We are not here to conquer. We are here to endure. That is all we have ever done." As the council ships rose into the stars, the envoys carried with them more than reports or records. They carried questions that had no easy answers. What did it mean to measure strength not by power but by survival? What did it mean to see scars as proof of life rather than shame? These questions would haunt the council long after the humans vanished once more into silence at the edge of the galaxy. The council fleet had left orbit, but the image of humanity stayed with them. Ambassador Salian and his envoys gathered in their meeting hall aboard their flagship, and a heavy silence hung in the air. No one spoke at first. The weight of what they had witnessed pressed down on them. They had expected a simple encounter, perhaps a diplomatic exchange. Instead, they had found a species that carried its pain as proof of strength, a species that survived not through fear or domination, but through endurance and hope. Salian spoke finally, his voice low and thoughtful. "We have met a people unlike any we have known. They are strong, yes, but not in ways we measure. They are strong in memory, in will, in hope. We cannot fight them, we cannot command them, and yet we must reckon with them." One of the envoys asked quietly, "Are they dangerous?" Salian shook his head slowly. "Not in the way we understand danger. Their power is patience. Their strength is survival. That is more dangerous than weapons or fleets." The counselors sat quietly, thinking. They had always measured progress in technology, fleets, and empires. Humanity offered none of these, at least not in the way the council expected. They had no throne to claim, no fleets demanding tribute. Instead, they carried scars, voices, and hope. This was a kind of power that the council had never faced. Back on the human station, Daniel Brooks and Lisa Carter watched the stars. They had shown the council envoys who they were, yet they had revealed nothing of their plans. Their patience had its purpose. The galaxy needed to see them as they were, not as legends or monsters. To understand them, the galaxy had to witness their endurance firsthand. Lisa spoke quietly. "Do you think they understand us?" Daniel shook his head. "Not yet. They will try to measure us with their old tools. They will judge us by fleets and empires. They will not see the truth until they carry the weight themselves. Lisa nodded. And yet we have already left a mark. They will not forget what they have seen. As days passed, the council returned to their chambers, but the images of humanity lingered in their minds. The hall of voices, the scars on metal, the oak tree, the songs, the memories of loss and hope, these did not fade. The envoys spoke to one another, trying to describe what they had felt, but the words were not enough. The weight of endurance could not be measured in reports or charts. It could only be felt. Ambassador Celian addressed the council formally. We went to the edge of the galaxy expecting to find silence. Instead, we found life that carries truth in ways we cannot measure. Humanity is not a threat to our power, but a mirror to our weakness. They have survived what we cannot imagine. They endure what we would fear. And in seeing them, we have seen ourselves. A silence fell over the chamber. Some counselors wept openly, moved by what Celian had described. They had faced wars, disasters, and rival species, but none had shown endurance like humanity. None had revealed the truth of survival so clearly. It was not a spectacle of glory. It was a quiet testament to hope. Celian continued. The galaxy may never understand them fully. Perhaps they will remain at the edge, watched from afar as they always have. But we will remember. Their endurance will teach us that strength is not only in power but in memory, in compassion and in hope. We have witnessed a truth we cannot unsee. Back on the human station, Daniel and Lisa prepared to return to their work. They did not celebrate or speak of victory. Their work was never done. Humanity continued to endure, to learn, to grow. And somewhere in the distant council chambers, the weight of that endurance had taken root. A lesson in survival, sorrow, and hope had been delivered, and the council would never be the same. That night, the envoys watched the stars, their thoughts heavy. They thought of the humans, of Earth, of all the lives carried in memory and song. They understood now that the galaxy was more than fleets and power. It was the stories of survival, the will to continue, and the hope that never dies. Humanity, hidden at the edge of the galaxy, had revealed a truth stronger than empires. And the council, proud and ancient, wept in the knowledge that they had never before witnessed such quiet, enduring strength.